I walked into a luxury store just to buy a simple scarf, and that's where my own daughter-in-law decided to remind me that I was old, invisible, and out of place. She laughed with the staff, she whispered about my clothes, she told them I couldn't afford anything in that store. In front of strangers, she humiliated me like I was nothing. What she didn't know was that the quiet old woman she embarrassed controlled more money than that entire brand. And before that day ended, I didn't walk out with a scarf. I walked out owning the whole company. People think when you get old, you fade into the background. Cashiers stop noticing you. Salespeople talk past you. The world quietly decides you're no longer important. I'm Margaret Cole, 68 years old, widow, one son and a daughter-in-law who thinks money gives her the right to measure human value. I don't dress flashy, never liked labels. I believe dignity doesn't need diamonds. My purse is old, my shoes are comfortable, and my hair went silver long before I was ready. That afternoon, I was downtown picking up a birthday gift for myself. Yeah, for myself. When you survive loss, you learn to celebrate being alive. I passed this high-end boutique. Glass walls, gold lettering, mannequins dripping in luxury. Silk scarves in the window caught my eye. My late husband loved scarves. He used to say they made him feel European and dangerous. That memory made me smile. So I walked in. Soft music, strong perfume, shiny floors. And standing near the counter, her. My daughter-in-law, Vanessa. Perfect hair, designer bag, loud confidence. She didn't recognize me at first. Why would she? I wasn't wearing wealth on my body like she did. I picked up a navy blue scarf and felt the fabric between my fingers. "Excuse me," I said softly. "How much is this one?" Vanessa turned. Her eyes widened for half a second. Then her lips curled into something ugly. "Oh, you?" she said, looking me up and down. "This store is kind of pricey, Margaret. You sure you didn't mean to walk into the discount place next door?" The salesgirls giggled. My chest tightened. I forced a small smile. "I'm just browsing." Vanessa crossed her arms. "Browsing usually means you can't afford it." Then she leaned toward the cashier and whispered, loud enough for me to hear, "She lives on her son's money." That lie hit harder than any insult. I felt heat rise in my face. My hands trembled slightly. The manager stepped in, clearly siding with her. "Ma'am, maybe this store isn't the right fit for you." They weren't just humiliating me, they were erasing me. I placed the scarf back gently. "Of course," I said calmly, and I walked out. But something inside me didn't walk away. Something woke up. I sat in my car for a long moment, staring at the steering wheel. Vanessa thought she knew me. She thought because I live quietly, I live small. She didn't know I spent 35 years building companies behind the scenes. She didn't know my wealth lives in stock portfolios, silent partnerships, and boardroom influence, not handbags. I laughed quietly. "Oh, sweetheart, you just picked the wrong woman to embarrass." I recognized that boutique's brand logo the second I stepped inside. That brand had been struggling financially. Overexpansion, poor management, debt stacking up. Most people see shiny glass. I see balance sheets. That night, I opened my laptop. Financial reports, ownership structures, investor weaknesses. My pulse stayed calm. My mind stayed sharp. By midnight, I already knew how to take control. I called my attorney the next morning. "Jacob," I said casually, "how fast can we buy majority shares in a luxury brand if we move quietly?" He chuckled. "Planning trouble again, Margaret?" "Just correcting disrespect," I replied. Within days, my firm began purchasing shares silently through multiple channels. No headlines, no noise, no warning. Meanwhile, Vanessa kept posting selfies from that same boutique which she owned the place. She had no idea the ground under her heels was cracking. But here's the part I didn't expect. The revenge wasn't the hardest part. The hardest part was realizing what my own son never saw about the woman he married. And that realization hurt deeper than any insult in that store. That night, after I hung up with my attorney, I didn't feel victory. I felt tired. Not the kind of tired that sleep fixes, the kind that comes from carrying disappointment in your bones. I poured myself a cup of tea and stared at the steam rising like tiny ghosts. Vanessa wasn't always like this. When my son Ethan first introduced her to me, she was sweet, polite, soft-spoken. She brought homemade cookies and called me Mom with that shy little smile. Or maybe that's what I wanted to see. Money changes people. Or maybe it just reveals them. Ethan worked hard, built his tech company from nothing. When the big acquisition hit, their lifestyle exploded overnight. Mansions, luxury cars, private schools for their kids. And slowly, Vanessa's kindness started shrinking. Little comments here and there. Mom, that restaurant's kinda cheap, don't you think? Why do you still drive that old car? You should really upgrade your wardrobe. I brushed it off, didn't want drama, didn't want to look jealous. But that day in the store? That wasn't careless. That was intentional humiliation. The next morning, Ethan called me. Hey, Mom, Vanessa said she ran into you yesterday downtown. My stomach tightened. Oh, I said calmly. She said you caused a scene at some fancy store and embarrassed her in front of her friends. I almost laughed. That was her version? I realized then something painful. My son only heard her side of the story, and he believed it. I didn't defend myself. Not yet. Sometimes the truth needs perfect timing. Instead, I asked him casually, "You happy, Ethan?" There was a pause. "Yeah, of course. Why?" I hung up with a heavy heart. That's when I understood something deeper. This wasn't just about a scarf. This was about respect, about how easy it is for people to forget where they came from and who stood behind them when nobody else believed. Meanwhile, behind the scenes, the acquisition was moving faster than expected. Jacob called me that evening. We're close to controlling interest, another 48 hours. I smiled slowly. Vanessa was still posting glamorous photos from that boutique. Hashtags, filters, fake perfection. She had no idea her kingdom was quietly changing owners, and the real storm hadn't even started yet. 2 days later, Jacob called me early in the morning. "It's done, Margaret." 3 words. That's all it took. I now owned the parent brand of that luxury boutique, not just the store, the entire company. Designs, distribution, franchise rights, everything. I took a deep breath and stared out my kitchen window. Funny how quietly power moves when you know what you're doing. I didn't rush into revenge like a movie villain. I planned. I scheduled a formal executive visit to the boutique as the new majority owner, anonymously. No announcement, no warning. I walked into the store that afternoon wearing the same simple shoes, same old purse, same silver hair tied back. The sales girls didn't recognize me again. Vanessa stood near the counter scrolling on her phone. Perfect. I browsed calmly. Vanessa rolled her eyes when she saw me. "You again?" she muttered. "Didn't you learn last time?" Before I could respond, the store manager rushed out from the back. His face went pale. "Ladies," he said nervously, "we have a very important guest arriving." The door opened. My attorney walked in, followed by two corporate executives. They approached me directly. "Mrs. Cole," Jacob said professionally, "we're ready whenever you are." Vanessa froze, her face drained of color. "Wait, what?" she whispered. I slowly turned to her. "Vanessa," I said softly, "I'd like you to meet the new owner of this brand." Silence. The air felt thick. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. The manager's knees practically buckled. I looked him straight in the eyes. "Your staff training clearly needs improvement." Then I looked back at Vanessa. "You humiliated me because you thought money gave you permission to forget respect," I said calmly. "But real power doesn't scream. It moves quietly." Tears filled her eyes. "Margaret, I didn't mean—" I raised my hand gently. "This isn't about punishment. This is about accountability." I didn't fire anyone on the spot. I ordered mandatory customer respect training, management restructuring, policy changes. But Vanessa? I requested she no longer be welcomed as a VIP client. No discounts, no special treatment, no favoritism. Just equality. That hurt her pride more than any public scene ever could. That evening, Ethan called me. His voice was shaky. "Mom, is it true?" "Yes," I replied calmly. Silence. Then softly, "Why didn't you tell me?" I exhaled slowly. "Because you needed to see who she becomes when she thinks she's powerful." Long pause. "I'm sorry," he whispered. "Not just for the store, for everything." And that mattered more to me than any brand ownership ever could. Respect returned to our relationship slowly. Vanessa changed too. Quieter, humbler. Maybe humiliation teaches what comfort never can. And me? I still wear my old shoes, still drink my coffee on my porch, still live quietly. Because real wealth isn't what you wear. It's knowing who you are when the world tries to tell you otherwise.